Hello, hello, hello. I am 13, and today we're going to play some Arcades Agro. So, first of all, let me qualify. I usually qualify the deck, but today I'm qualifying myself. I am on day 3 of brain melting migraine. Yesterday, my meds had kicked in and able to record. Everything went fine. Today, though, I am not doing so hot. So, a lot of people making great content. I have some great videos on the YouTube channel. Check out Squirrel Dealer. This one's probably going to be a little rough. We always joke around about doing horrible punts and basically playing janky decks with no value to them, but today is going to be super subpar. We are playing with a ton of fun defender cards. We are also playing a sort of Timmy deck. We don't really have any combo elements. We don't really have any big finishers. Our general game plan today is actually just going to be run out Arcades with defenders. And I didn't even really do any highlights, so let's just take a moment here and visit the deck. So, expensive mana base, fetch lands, Horizon Canopy is very important. Noble Hierarch, we're in Bant colors. Our one drop of choice is Perimeter Captain. Whenever a creature with Defender blocks, we end up gaining 2 life. It's 1 mana for a 0/4. When we have Arcades, the primary card of our deck, it's 1 mana for a 4/4 that gains us life. We end up running 0/8 Defender Flying Shroud, so with Arcades, this is an 8/8. We end up having some very powerful cards. Most of our deck gets hit by Collected Company, so just fantastic things here. Tetsuko is going to be a cord target to make all of our giant walls unblockable. Chord of Calling will allow us to tutor for one of these cards. We have Wall of Omens is just a card advantage. Sylvan Caryatid to help us ramp us into a turn 3. Arcades, Fog Bank is preventable damage, so it can still get bolted, but it makes attacking in hard. It's also a flyer, so it'll stop the Arclight Phoenixes. With Arcades out, it'll also kill Arclight Phoenix. Pact Exile is just generic removal. Shalai gives us hexproof for those strategies. Storm hate, Affinity hate, Graveyard hate, a couple of random cards. Oh, we need 2 more. Apparently didn't even get my stuff together. Let's take a quick look at this. Yeah, sideboard's missing 2 things. Like I said, kind of struggling today. So, what do we want here? I mean, we could just toss in 2 ley lines, but that's why Shalai's in there. Shalai isn't a defender. Oh boy. Yeah, didn't really get that far. So Dampening Sphere's in here for Tron. Whatever. Let's just add another Tegan, another Lavinia. It's fine. All the stuff. Alright, so go ahead and get in queue for our match here. Kind of going back to the deck, though, we end up just running out a ton of defenders. We have a valuable cord target, but basically all of these threats end up becoming very good with Arcades out. And we're going to try to turn some stuff sideways, which typically isn't my strong suit, but we can see what we're doing here. Alright, so immediate opening hand, we have 1 drop, we have a 2 drop that replaces itself, we have Arcades, we have all of our mana, good enough. Yeah, little awkward that we were even missing our sideboard stuff here. Went ahead and updated the website. Deck list should be up to date. Opponent's trying to figure out if it's worth keeping their hand. Alright, well, so it looks like opponent actually mulliganed to 6, but I'm still seeing the 7 up there. So we might be having some moto issues. Oh no, 7 is the London Mulligan rules. Again, today might be a little rough. We're playing a stupid deck. Saffron Olive ended up running a list kind of similar to this, but instead he had Axebane Guardian with infinite mana slash, I think it was mill combo, back when Arcades was first spoiled, back in 2000, or Magic 19. He actually did alright with it. I don't think he had a fantastic record, but it was at least an interesting deck that did some stuff. We're basically on the beatdown plan. This perimeter captain is probably confusing the crap out of the opponent. If they're burn, they basically might just scoop here, because this is super hard to get through. Opponent is definitely taking their dear sweet time trying to figure out mulligans, though. Alright, Windswept Heath means it should be a fair matchup. Breeding pool means it might be malaria pod, could potentially be infect. It could be any number of things. Alright, another perimeter captain doesn't really mean a whole lot. Basically just trying to draw into a little bit more action with Wall of Omens here. Netherland's not great, but it's a thing. So next turn's probably going to be some variant of tap land with the perimeter captain. Then we get down Arcades and we'll be able to attack for 12. It's what our deck wants to do. If opponent actually does have white in their deck, it means that we're probably looking at a path for Arcades, though. One of the concessions when building this deck was we ended up getting 3 Arcades and 3 Court of Callings to tutor it up. We do have 1 Assault Formation. Assault Formation is just a terrible card to have multiples of. Arcades is fine, but it has to be on the table for any of this stuff to matter. Alright, so given the fact that these can get basics, the odds of seeing a Blood Moon over there seem very minimal. I'm just going to run this out tapped. And we're going to be gaining a lot of life if we ever get to the point that we're blocking. Otherwise, Arcades can come out next turn and do some stuff. So there could have been an argument there that we wanted to hold the perimeter captain for after we get Arcades out, because we can start cantripping by playing things with Defender. Alright, so opponent is on Infect. So Path is looking a little less likely, but we are probably dead next turn. Alright, Noble's a little late to the party. But if by some miracle of God, opponent with 4 cards in hand can't figure out how to get 8 power onto that guy, then we should have the win next turn. Just a little too slow. You gotta love being able to gain 4 life if they attack in, but having an unblockable infected creature just makes that so not important. Yeah, I'm already trying to figure out what I want out of the sideboard. So, when I ran Infect, I had people bring in Damping Sphere against me, and that just didn't feel like it was worth my time. I was still attacking in with my Blighted Agent and hitting for 5 every time that I attacked, even if I wasn't able to do multiple spells. Lavinia is interesting for Become Immense. Same with Teague, but that really shouldn't matter. Thalia is really good at blocking on the ground if they have a Glistener Elf. Okay, so they're supposed to Pendelhaven in response to this trigger here. Make it a 2-3, exalted into a 3-4, and then they just need 2 buff spells and we're dead. It's also possible that they just have... Actually... So they didn't Medival Croja in their main step. They didn't hit their land, so... Groundswell's not actually a thing. They did Pendelhaven. But they need mutagenic growth if they're going to kill us here. Okay, poor groundswell. There's mutagenic growth. So they need to have 2 more buff spells. Yep. Alright, that's it. That was actually kind of close. Alright, so Thalia comes down, makes all their buff spells harder to pull off. I didn't actually update the sideboard. Amazing. Like I said, today's going to be a little rough. If you're still watching, you're a trooper, and I respect you, but it's going to be rough. So, Lavinia, if no mana is spent to cast it, counter it, that stops the free mutagenic growth. They can't cast anything greater than the number of lands that they control, so mana dorking something out doesn't really work. T can stop become immense, but that's about it out of their deck. Damping Sphere, like I said, people brought it in against me, but I beat every person that did that. I don't really think that's correct. We can end up trimming on any number of things. So, Fog Bank, I believe the wording on Infect is when it deals damage in the form of -1/-1 counter, so Fog Bank should still be able to block Listener Elf. That seems fine. Caryatid, ramping into Arcades, like we need to put some kind of a real clock on. Wall of Denial feels bad. I'm okay to trim on that and probably just end up trimming a Perimeter Captain because life total doesn't matter. And this feels horrible. We have a Path to Exile, but they have Blossoming Defense and Vines of the Vastwood and all that garbage. Alright, so this is looking a little bit better. I'd love a second land, but we end up having ramp. We have Tetsuko to make our stuff unblockable. Excuse me. We'll end up having Noble and Path on turn 2. Given the new London rule, it's probably worth mulliganing here, but we have so many of our 1-drops and one of our few pieces of interaction that this seems fine. Tetsuko is in here as a core target just because it'll make sure that all of our walls with 0 power can't be blocked, but still end up hitting for anywhere between 2 to 8 damage. And I got the Squeaker new toys. I'm sure everybody can realize he's going to town on that thing. Funny enough, Tetsuko doesn't work very well with Exalted because you'll attack and get the Exalted triggers and end up having power greater than 1. A Bauble. That was kind of a thing back when Suicide Blue was kind of becoming a thing. That was like the original name for Grixis Death Shadow, only it was more zoo related. Opponent targeted us for that. Well, we don't have a land, so we're just going to run this stuff out. If it comes to it, we can always path the Perimeter Captain. Corda's Convoke, so we can tap our creatures for it, so we could actually Convoke for something for 1 here. Yeah, Baubles and Street Wraiths were in there to fill the graveyard for Become Immense, so you'd have more delve targets. Alright. So, opponent's going to get a fresh draw off this Bauble, but it looks like they're a little light on the Infect creatures. If you get your draw, I'd love a land so I can Coco. Arcades also seems fine. So this means I can run out Tetsuko, path probably Perimeter Captain, have mana up, or I can just cord for another Noble at end step. Tetsuko's not really going to do anything. Do I have any other one drops that I care about? Not really. Alright, so cord, get Noble, untap Arcades. I need to draw land to hold up path. Alternatively, I can just run out Tetsuko, hold up path, and then pathing my own creature to ramp feels horrible. It's probably just going to be cord. We ended up drawing Arcades, so cord ends up losing value since it's in there mainly as a way to get Arcades. We also have Tetsuko, which is another good tutor target. You can also cord for something like a Fog Bank if it's relevant at the time, or you can cord for just Wall of Omens, get a fresh draw, get a couple more creatures out, but there's a reason this deck never took off, and it's because it is missing some power level to it. Yep, there's Blighted Agent. And I've said it before when playing against, in fact, you always want to path this during your main phase or during their turn after attacks have already been resolved, because if you go to path it, they'll just end up buffing it and trying to save it. Then you'll just get hit for more. X is currently 1. Cord, go get the Noble. Worst ramp spell ever. I'm actually really excited about that new war card that's basically Green Sun Zenith, but can come from graveyard or deck. It's green X, but effective Green Sun Zenith. Seems super powerful. Is the opponent trying to figure out if they need to path this? Because that's kind of cute. Or Spell Pierce. Apparently I'm not overly familiar with the new versions of Infect, but Infect stopped running a lot of their Dispels and Spell Pierces. They end up just committing in on the Hexproof and increased damage that the creature's going to do, like Blossoming Defense, Vines. Back in my day, they used to run a lot more counter magic, and it seems like they've really trimmed on that. Alright, breeding pool means that I actually have something to work with here. So, as always with mana dorks, you want to tap them first, because if they end up removing a mana dork, then you're not just completely screwed. Arcades gets to come out. I'll be able to get in for 4. Hold up path. Opponent only has 3 cards in hand. They have 2 Exalted triggers. And a Pendlehaven, which means I'm looking at 4 plus whatever buff spells they have. I'm basically out of this. We got stuck on mana and just fell too far behind. They're also a faster deck than us. We don't have a ton of interaction. The unblockable makes it hard when you're playing a defender deck that's supposed to block. But if opponent didn't have a stead here, we could collect a company, probably hit 2 creatures with defender, draw cards for every defender that enters, make them all unblockable. Like, we are posing a threatening board state, but we're just a turn too slow. I don't think opponent has it though, because they are definitely tanking on it. Yep, so Might of Old Kroza when cast in main phase gets +4/+4. They didn't even try to Pendelhaven, which means that they probably have vines. Alright, well, let's see if they've got it. So Groundswell's going to give +4/+4 because they had Land Enter. If this is hexproof, then yeah, absolutely ridiculous. They have 2 Exalted triggers. We're dead on the table. Considering we only had white available, they definitely slow rolled that. They had lethal a million times over. We only had 1 mana to do something, and they had Spell Pierce. Like, that was obviously getting through. They shouldn't have had to tank on that for 3 minutes, but opponent will do what opponent does. I know a lot of people say that they like the arena timer because you can't slow play like that, but you end up having the exact same issues. But the arena timer also makes it say you can't play any combo decks and really warps the meta, which is why I haven't been that big of a fan of it. But starting down a game, unblockable versus defenders just feels like they should be so favored to win that. We also got mana screwed. Like, if we would have waited a turn on Arcades and just played through the Spell Pierce, we would have been able to take that pretty easily. Actually, if we would have just pathed through in our main phase, we would have been able to take that pretty easily. Alright, so London Mulligan does allow me to be a little bit more aggressive with my mulligans. This doesn't really do anything. So I'm going to try to get something with a little bit faster interaction. We still don't have any early plays. What does the curve of our deck look like? So I have 8 things I'm happy to play on turn 1 and 12 things I'm happy to play on turn 2, and I have a single turn 2. We're on the draw, whatever. Hopes and dreams for this deck have not been very high. Court of Calling is here mainly to tutor Arcades. Right now we have our Arcades, so we're fine. Alright, well, if this is Burn, we might be okay here. Love to see a Perimeter Captain. Oh, would you look at that? So good. Alright, just gonna grab my basic. I want to try to keep my life total high, and we have plenty of basics to grab here. The opponent basically has to throw 2 bolts at this, because if we block, we're just gonna gain life. Or just run out another Swift Spear and... Okay, not great sequencing from opponent, because now I'll just keep my Perimeter Captain alive and not block. Unless they have Gut Shot. They seriously have Gut Shot? Okay, so this is Mono Red Phoenix. Oh, Modern lately has been an adventure. Alright, so I have 2 forests and 2 plains, a single island, so this will go get us a forest. A couple of defenders are good. That is actually a reason to try to get more forests out. Alright, well, let's see if we can find a Perimeter Captain. Wall of Denial is pretty decent, though. All the walls. So I want green and blue, so that's going to be a breeding pool. Opponent with the upkeep stop. I don't know what that means in red. Alright, so I can Coco, try to find another perimeter captain. I can Cord, which would require getting a shock and get perimeter captain. I can just run out Arcades. I think I'm on Coco, although going for Court of Calling seems plausible as well. The problem is they have 2 cards in hand. If I go down to 6, I'm dead to 2 bolts, so I'll end up drawing. They'll have 3 cards in hand. They've only shown us 1 bolt so far. So I don't necessarily want to take a shock, but not in a great position. Like, seriously, they had the gut shot, though? Take out the perimeter captain. I do think we're favored in this, though. I don't believe Mono Red runs Skullcrack. Come on, I clicked on you, Island. There we go. Coco! Double perimeter captain? Please, baby, one time. Well, could be worse. So it's a super fringe case, but if they do have Skull Crack, it's going to prevent damage, or make it so that damage can't be prevented, so Fogbank could die. Yep. Seems weird that they'd be doing that post-combat. Alright, so odds I just die feel pretty high. Court of Calling for perimeter captain and block seems like our best out. Worst case, I can go get Wall of Denial, play Arcades, or go get Tetsuka. What happens if I just run out Wall of Denial now and I don't die? Means that I'd end up having 18 damage on the table, and I won't be able to cord that turn. Alright, what do we have? If you're running Court of Calling, you really need to be a better toolbox deck than what we're currently running. Perimeter Captain will save us life, but they're likely not attacking into walls for no reason. Wall of Denial will put lethal on table if we get Arcades and Tetsuko out. Alright, whatever. We'll just run out Wall of Denial. If I have to crack this Windswept Heath to go get the other basic and be within bolt range, that's where we're at. Alright, so this is Path. Trying to do the math, but my head is killing me. So, if I crack this and go to 3, I just died a bolt. If I Arcades, I can't cord. If I Path Noble, I don't net any mana. Yep. Think I came up shy 1 mana to take this game. Then this means I can path and get Court of Calling for Tetsuko next turn, assuming I make it that long. I don't know what opponent's sitting on, but it's not great. It's possible they have multiple Phoenixes in hand. This does look a lot like Mono Red Phoenix, despite the fact that we haven't seen Faithful Suiting or anything yet. Okay. Okay. Whatever, let's just go for the win. I honestly don't know what's going on. Opponent has 2 red available, and apparently nothing to do with it. Alright, well, that really should not have happened. Lavinia can potentially stop Gut Shot. Can also stop Suspend. Teague, I don't think stops anything. Grip can stop Phoenix if this is the Phoenix deck, but for now I'm guessing that Shroud's pretty dang good, Hexproof is pretty dang good, Path is probably a requirement. Shalai is going to stop bolts to the face, and that's a cord target. I think I'm just trimming from the top end a little bit. Wall of Omens doesn't really do a ton. Fogbank is mildly relevant here. They can just bolt it though, so it's not great. I feel like this is correct. Timely Reinforcements could probably be on our sideboard. We basically just need perimeter captains. If we see 2 of them, I can't imagine that they can take this. This is Caryatid into Wall of Denial. That will never die into Arcades with a cord. This can go so horribly wrong, but it does feel favored. Alright, there's Soul Scar. Seeing a land's fine. We'll see if they want to bolt our bird. If they do, we'll just Caryatid and move on with our lives. I'm also expecting Blood Moon out of this deck. Spectacle, huh? Maybe looking for a Gut Shot. Okay. Okay, well that's fine. Caryatid's going to be ramp. We have Wall of Denial just for free blocks. I like Wall of Denial and just getting another basic because I am expecting Blood Moon. Opponent's likely running out the Swift Spear. They're going to skewer us after they make contact. Alright, so they are the Phoenix deck. Wow, that is gross. Alright, so that's turn 3 from the Mono Red Phoenix deck. We are at 2. We only did 2 damage to ourselves. So if opponent doesn't have direct damage to the face, I can go get Perimeter Captain and maybe gain 4 life. That's our best case scenario here. Wow, pitching 2 mountains. Two more mountains. Alright, so Arcades comes down. I have 12 damage on the table. Sylvan Caryatid comes down. I am dead to a bolt. Not great all around. Opponent can flashback Faithless Looting. They just need to find Bolt. Guess land and Bolt. They did discard 4. They did have the Blood Moon, so that was a good read. Alright, now currently representing 15 damage, a little bit better. Opponent had Forked Bolt last time around. Alright, well, if we get one more turn, we're going to win. And if opponent attacks, we're going to gain life. So they're going to be desperately looking for that bolt. That's a pretty good way to find it. That's a better way to find it. Alright, well, they get their land drop and they get a Faithless Looting. Actually, is that cast? No, you may play. It can be cast until next turn. Alright, so 8, 12, 15, 18, 20. Guess first things first, let's Coco. Wow. Just wow. Alright. Well, I have Lethal in Air, so let's just go for it. Wow. Okay. I don't know how we pulled that off. I honestly have no idea how we pulled that off. They hit us for 16 on their turn 3. We had a noble hierarch in play. But Perimeter Captain's a pretty good card. Rocky. So, in an effort to build a fair EDH deck for the office, I did Arcades with only cards with Defender on them. And it turned out that it's kind of hard to kill things with only creatures with Defender on them. But there are a ton of fun cards with Defender. And this is another card that should probably be in our deck. It just basically makes all of our other Defenders really good. I mean, that basically reads all other creatures get +2/+2 while you have the effect that you want on the table. And that is just awful. That is just so bad. This is better. So we can keep this. This will keep us alive. We have no mana. This is a threat. If we knew the matchup, this would be easier to figure out what to send back. I guess we're going to send back the Perimeter Captain. Oh, that's why you wish you knew the matchup. Alright, this land's going to be painful. Have to run out more mana dorks. So opponents should be getting the read that they have to kill our hierarch here. If we had only sent back the Wall of Denial. Alright, well, we're going to be taking some damage here, so let's go ahead and Perimeter Captain. Yep. And get out our Wall of Omens. And Collecting Company is a pretty good one. In the meantime, though, we'll be able to start gaining some life. No attacks? Really, opponent? Alright, I'm getting the read they have Boros Charm. And I can't really do anything here, so we're going to be on Collected Company and hope to... I don't even know. We need an Arcades. We need to get our clock on. Well, super painful mana base. We're going to be losing 1 life regardless, so I'm just going to go get a basic. We're going to draw cards here. If I get an Arcades, we can actually win on the spot. That is not an Arcades. So, cycle. Can't make another land drop. Cycle Chord, but then we're tapped out. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Alright, July comes back in. Thalia comes back in. This is the more stock list. So Lavinia can stop Spectacle, it can stop Rift Bolt, it can stop... Well, this list doesn't run Gut Shot. But that's about all I want. Again, trim just on some of the more expensive stuff. All the science. I think last time I trimmed a caryatid. I don't know. Just pick things, hit submit. That is the agenda tonight. Horrible mulligan decisions for Burn, though. This does feel like such a good matchup. We can end up putting a faster clock on because we end up just getting Arcades out, and we have X4s, like 4-4s, 8-8s. We can end up racing pretty easily, assuming that we don't have just an insanely awkward start. We have ways to gain life. We basically shut down all of their ground creatures. They're also one of the few decks that can kill our Fog Bank in combat, but that's super fringe. This is one of the few times that it comes up, which is why I keep addressing it. And given the amount of time it's taken opponent's sideboard, they likely have no clue what we're doing. None at all. Alright, so turn 1 Perimeter Captain, turn 2 a lot of damage self but Fog Bank. I can try to get a less painful mana base. I can try to get a better start. Yeah, it's fine as it is. If we lose this one, I am perfectly okay to take the blame for poor mulligan decisions, but we're playing things. If opponent's on a creature-heavy hand, this is just fine. Mildly awkward lava spike there. I actually think I'd prefer not to take the shock. I don't need Fog Bank out right now, and I can kind of slow roll it. If I don't start seeing lands, though, this is going to be quite bad. Quite bad. Woo, walls! Go defend things. I believe in you. Of note, we need one more green source or green creature before we can cord. Wow. Alright. Well, likely just dead here. Opponent's going to untap and double bolt us. Yep. Well, that was a fun, exciting, engaging game of Magic. We played creatures and our opponent bolted us. Who knew that could be a possibility against Burn? Again, probably should have just mulliganed there, but concessions are made when you have a playable hand. A card that actually does quite a bit in the matchup, but opponent can just play around it. Arcades costing 4 is a real cost for Modern. Again, big reason why this deck isn't seeing a lot of play. This is going to be a... I'd love another land, but we have 2 Wall of Omens to try to hit it. Alright, well, keep all the bad hands. That might just be the motto here. Quick games of Magic. Alright, this is looking like Phoenix. Opponent has a gold M19 border. Misty Rainforest is hopefully going to get us a green source here, primarily because Court of Calling is a thing. don't think we have any reason to get anything else, so gonna go ahead and just grab our forest. There we go. Wall of Omens. Hit a land. Path is actually kind of okay. And definitely looking like Phoenix. And they hit 2 Phoenixes. Do they ever not hit 2 Phoenixes? I feel like they always hit 2 Phoenixes. I kind of don't want a fog bank here because I'm expecting a bolt that will just kill it. Wall of Denial will be an 8/8. If I hit a land, that means that I can attack in for 12. Opponent's clearly not on the Thing in the Ice plan. But I need to get a green source, so probably Breeding Pool. Woo, walls. On the plus side, only 1 Phoenix will get in if they end up bringing them back. Seeing the Wall of Denial, they might be on the Thing in the Ice plan, but if they Thing in the Ice, that means we can path it. Yep, Manamorphose is a thing. Also means Phoenixes are coming back because they have 5 cards in hand. About to go up to 6. And a deck with all 1 converted mana cost spells. This is another deck where I needed to have Enchantment Hate in the sideboard. That's what I keep forgetting. This need to have Disenchant or Nature's Claim, one of the two. We're going to lose to Pyromancer's Ascension if they bring it in post board. Or main board. I know a lot of people have been trying to figure out exactly what the most optimal build of this is, and it seems like it's probably Pyromancer's Ascension with the Arclights and the Thing in the Ices. Alright, so Noxious Revival on Manamorphose. So what actually needs to happen here? So I can path and basically prevent damage. I can path and cord for 2, get Tetsuko. I can Wall of Omens, but I won't have another white source. Wall of Omens will end up putting 8 damage on the table, though. I won't be able to cord, but that's kind of fun. Alright, well, basically putting them on needing Thing in the Ice, otherwise they're on chump block duty. We know they have Manamorphose in hand. Pyromancer's Ascension is now live. Yep, Manamorphose going to give them 4 mana and draw 2 cards. So if I run out Arcades and then try to cord, it's going to take all of my creatures. I honestly don't think I'm going to survive this, but gotta let opponent do what they're doing. They're likely going to find a bolt for the Fog Bank, the other bolt's going to go to face, then Wall of Denial can block 1 creature, or they're going to end up binning the other 2 Arclights. Alright, 2 Thing in the Ice is down, so that's good. Opponent, you have my respect, though. You're actually playing at a pretty good speed. You know what you're doing. I don't believe they've played their land for turn yet, but they have 10 cards in hand. Yeah, everybody's been playing with these free spells. I think Surgical is the most optimal one, but I haven't actually run this list. I've only played against it. Noxious Revival picking up Manamorphose, I believe, is actually infinite with Pyromancer's Ascension online. You end up just putting the real Manamorphose in the bin. You might need 2 Manamorphose, but it draws your entire deck and gives you mana for every card in your deck. Alright, they found another Arclight. But it looks like they haven't played their land for turn, which means I can potentially cheese this out. Alright, another chord. So I can chord, I won't be able to do it twice. If I chord and get Arcades, then Wall of Denial is also going to be unblockable. The problem is if they thing in the ice, that they need to figure out a way to get the Arclight Phoenixes back in the bin. They have an active Manamorphose, and they've sculpted 7 cards that they wanted. What's in my sideboard? Or what's in my main deck? So I can always just chord for a Wall of Denial. Chord for Tetsuko is going to be lethal on the backswing. Wall of Omens doesn't do anything. Perimeter Captain, if they attack in, could gain life. Almost everything in hand is going to require all of my mana. Well, it looks like it's going to be an end-step Tetsuko. But they've got to have Bolt. They've only been one of them so far, which means 3 bolts is definitely lethal. 2 bolts and a single attack is lethal. End-step Chord and Path is likely our best bet, but they've just played their deck. Question is, if they start flashing back these Faithless Lootings, are they going to be able to see the entire thing and find all bolts? This is when having something like Shalai main board is great. It means that they have to point 2 bolts at her before they can kill us. Yep, there's 1 bolt. Two bolts. So they likely found it. You know, if you just stack them all on top of each other, I would have conceded a while ago. Alright, Shalai comes in, Rip comes in, Thalia comes in. Lavinia and Teague probably deserve a conversation. Lavinia is only going to... You don't actually cast the spell, so there's no trigger to counter it if it comes off of the Pyromancer's Ascension. Teague's not really going to hit anything. Basically, Lavinia is just going to stop the Noxious Revivals. Yeah, this is just another matchup that feels pretty horrible. Wall of Denial is one of the few creatures that won't die. Fogbank's just going to eat a bolt. Although I think I'd prefer to have Fogbank over Wall of Omens. Just trim 1. Yeah, nothing's great here. I just beat all the Wall of Omens. And a Fogbank. When we're bringing all this stuff in, Coco loses some value. It actually might be this. Run it back. Basically, just give our opponent their bye and move on with our lives. Noble into Thalia. Wall of Denial. These are cards in our deck. opponent with the upkeep stop. I think Phoenix tries to do that for upkeep flip thing in the ice. And I did have an Arclight Phoenix that actually ran Blood Moon, so that's got to be a consideration here. Alright, opponent didn't have the bolt. That's kind of a hope. And we have enough mana dorks at the given moment that I'm perfectly fine just doing what I need to get a couple of threats out. If they end up blood mooning, I can just go ahead and run out a couple mana dorks, slow down a bit. It's probably going to slow them down too, as they don't have a basic island yet. In the meantime, hitting for 9. Oh, okay. Nope, hitting for 2. Alright. And that is something our deck can do. Damping Sphere is probably a consideration as well. It just means that they can't multi-spell as easily. None of that feels great, though. Opponent's also on the play, so can't get a quick Thalia to cheese it out. Turn 2 Rip, turn 3 Wall of Denial, turn 4 Arcades. Hope they're on the Phoenix plan. Perimeter Captain alone doesn't do much. Thalia is probably a better hate piece than Rip. It'd be nice to have a Hierarch, but... Oh, would you look at that? Do I want a Path or Rip? I think it's Rip, and then I can carry Added and Path next turn. If they flip my Perimeter Captain, no harm, no foul. This deck also doesn't make very good use of its graveyard. Which is basically a requirement for playing in Modern. You need to be able to reuse your resources in some way. Probably flipping the things here. Probably looking at taking 7 while pathing. Scratch that, definitely. Which means pathing now. Doing that while they don't have mana. Again, most of the time they don't board into counterspells, but better to do it when they don't have an option as opposed to finding out the hard way they have a Dispel. Wall of Denial surprisingly can block a Woken Horror. So Noble, they're not going to attack into the perimeter captain. They don't have a reason to. Alright, so I can Arcades with the perimeter captain. They can just kill it though. Sylvan Caryatid having hexproof is quite nice. Arcades with the perimeter captain though means that I can draw cards. Wow, they didn't even want to try to play it out. Okay, well that was going to go quite nice. So we did steal a game against Arclight Phoenix. Apparently Wall of Denial is a pretty good card. Currently 2-2. If we cash out, I'll actually be quite surprised. I was expecting this to go 1-4. Figured best case scenario is 2-3. Ooh boy, that's not going to work. That barely works. This is another awkward hand where it's like, if I knew what the matchup was or if I knew I could top deck a land, we'd be fine. It's probably just ship back Wall of Omens because I want to play Caryatid first. And that's going to be a Temple Garden. Alright, so likely Death's Shadow here. They targeted themselves, so that pretty much means Death's Shadow. They're trying to figure out if they want to crack their fetch before or after the draw. Alright, so Grixis color is basically confirmed. Land? Yes! Alright, opponent, your go. We have a Coco. Don't Thoughtseize me, bro. Wow, he didn't Thoughtseize me. Alright, so I can perimeter captain here. That's not going to accomplish a whole lot. I can attack in for 2 with Noble Hierarch. That'll get them to the point they can play a Death Shadow. If I attack in, I'm probably okay for Coco. If I perimeter captain, I'll have to Coco whenever they kill a creature. I'm just going to squat. No, I'm not. They don't have a creature. They have 7 cards in hand. I'm thinking 2 Stubborn Denials is bad enough. I just want to Coco now. So if they Stubborn Denial, then I'm fine. If... Are you kidding me? Alright, so I'm actually curious here. I'm attacking in. I kind of don't care. That killed all motivation. So we have 26 creatures. 23 of them are hittable off of Coco. We have a 33% chance per card. It's not the best hit rate, but we should definitely not be having these crappy Cocos that we've been hitting. Yep, 2 Death Shadows. Alright, then I can pay a life, get out Wall of Denial, or I can just Perimeter Captain. Wall of Denial seems fine. Then that way, if we can get an Arcades, we're just going to win on the spot. Assault Formation should also do it. Alright. This is going to go horribly, but took the bait opponent. I'm actually expecting them to bolt themselves. Yep, that's what happened. And we did. Oh, no, because Fogbank has to get hit twice. Haha, fringe use cases. Although that's pretty much over. So first things first, let's go ahead and cycle. Although I did that in the wrong order, I was supposed to do that with the Noble Hierarch so I could gain 2 life. By chumping with the carry added. You have another Battle Rage? Wow. Alright, well that's a thing. So many times I have brought in Grip and opponents showed me like 3 Gurmag Anglers in hand. Thalia is a consideration. She makes it so it's harder for them to Stubborn Denial with 1 mana or Temur Battle Rage. None of this looks great though. Basically, we just need to get Tetsuko and steal a win, or just come out aggressively enough with our walls. That's all we need to do. Wall of Omens doesn't block anything profitably. Gurmag Angler is going to be a consideration. Fogbank is mildly relevant here. Wall of Denial is probably just going to die, but for 1 more mana, I'd rather have a 0-8 than a 0-4. Yep, and that's where we're at. I'd love to play first. Noble, Coco. These are cards. We have mana and a Coco. Probably getting Thoughtseize this time around. So I'd prefer not to mulligan and need blue. We do see a lot of the flaws with the deck when we don't have an Arcades or an Assault Formation, just really hard to go off. Yep, there it is. So I'm actually expecting them to take Caryatid or Coco here. Caryatid because we're planning on double spelling. Coco because it's just the biggest threat. Then we want to try to do things. Oh, yeah, taking that Coco is pretty painful. So, Arcades, Court of Calling, Tetsuko, all these seem like good cards. I don't think the Rip's actually going to do anything we care about if we end up top decking it at this point. Although if opponent doesn't have lands, they could be planning on trying to do an Angler. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to expect there. If we attack in with Noble, they'll end up dipping below 13, although it looks like they can get to below 13 as it is anyway. Yep, and there's a Shadow. So going to be pathing on my turn just to make sure that we can actually kill it without a Stubborn Denial going off. Assault Formation means that we can start attacking. Hit them for 5. Not yet. No stubbies for you. Alright, and let's see how close to dead we are. Tetsuko or Cord would probably end up just winning us the game on the spot, because we'd go unblockable, although Cord would mean that we can't activate a Soul Formation. Looks like it's a delve cost. Yep, there's Fishy. Caryatid. Alright, so we can get in for 6 right now. We could make it 7. I think getting Caryatid out's highest upside, though. The only reason this damage is going to get in from the Exalted triggers, so Caryatid can just sit back on D, do what he needs to do. Alright, that's fine. We can't activate twice, so he's down. But Caryatid comes out. And these guys are attacking for 5. Can always buff, make it 6. Hexproof is actually kind of relevant. Opponent's got to find another threat here. Land is not a threat. They're going to battle rage me. But top decking a land is lethal. Unless they have Snappy. Oh, okay. That's good. We have plenty of mana here. Caryatid can get in. Yeah, that'll's fine. So a line we could have taken is, if we got the land, was make both the Caryatids attack, then pay 3 to buff both of them. In the meantime, though, threatening 5 damage, Snap's coming down with no real targets. Dismember can't hit Caryatid or Wall of Denial. Wall of Denial in the air means that it's basically unblockable. Yep. That's a thing. Blue. Wall of Denial, 0-8, Shroud, Flying, Keywords. Yep, opponent would have needed a Damnation there. Alright, does this change anything? Don't believe so. Actually, that might be cute enough to bring in to make sure that they can't fish. Toolbox Creature over Wall of Denial 4. Still feels so awkward. I don't think Coco's the right card for this deck. The 3 or 4 times we've cast it tonight, it just didn't really do anything. We whiffed twice. 26 creatures is slightly on the low side, but should be enough to actually resolve and get at least 1 creature. Well, we have Path to Exile, Sylvan Caryatid. We have Fog Bank that can just block for a while. We have an Arcades that we can start getting damage in. We don't have any good threats. We don't have any ramp. But Path is super good, especially if we can catch them between Stubborn Denial. So just keep all the bad hands tonight. We're playing a wall deck. That's kind of par for the course, isn't it? Opponent's been a pretty good dude. Most of the time I ignore chat, but he's being super nice. Thoughtseize here is going to be kind of painful. I guess they'll take the Caryatid since it's our only ramp. Alright, and they're going to be on Thought Scour, so Horizon Canopy comes down, we get to gain some life. This guy has probably been the all-star of the deck, though. A lot of times you get something like a Silvergill that's the best card and actually makes the deck work out. Perimeter Captain being able to gain life and be just a 4/4 for 1 is just so good. When Arcades is out, he'll draw us a card. The dream was always just get out Arcades, Coco, hit 2 creatures, draw 2 cards, hopefully another Coco, but I think we need some amount of graveyard interaction for this deck to work. The fact that our graveyard just disappears is kind of frustrating. Opponent has been super nice. I'm going to pause on their begin combat. I think they accidentally F6 through it, so give them some time to make some decisions here. Meanwhile, we'll have Caryatid and Path up next turn, go into Arcades and lame. Alright, so opponent's likely taking Path unless they have a Stubborn Denial, in which case they'll be taking Arcades because it's the obvious combo piece. Yep, goodbye Arcades. They have to shock themselves, so Blood Moon's not going to be in their deck. Need a blue source, green for Cord. And they already know these cards. I'm not going to show them another one, so we can Sylvan Caryatid. I don't want to take the shock for it, though. I don't have anything for the following turn, so we can just Caryatid and put it in a tapped Hollowed Fountain. Although if they have to use blue, whatever, I'll take the shock. If we're going to die, we're going to die through a glorious blaze of Temur Battle Rages. That actually does mean opponent missed their land drop because we path them. They can fish here? Okay. So we need an Arcades soonish. Coco can hit. I have to Coco now, because if they end up trying to cast something and I want to have my Lavinia out, I have to Coco now. Plus they can potentially have Stubborn Denial. All the Perimeter Captains. Well, if we block with any of our 4 defenders, we'll gain 4 life for each one of them. If we draw a Cord or a Arcades, though, we have lethal on table. They hit 2 fish. That's not great. I don't think it's worth pathing that. That was a good play from opponent in the last game, though, bolting their face, or guess game 1. That Liliana's starting to become a problem. Alright, so if we draw land, we can crack Horizon Canopy and still Arcades. Or draw a creature that doesn't really benefit our game plan. All 4 Perimeter Captains! Alright, opponent, you get a Lily the Noble. I love Fog Bank. Arcades? Please? We actually won't even be able to cord if we get cord. We only have 2 green out. Sacking Horizon Canopy might have been greedy there. Salt Formations, not quite lethal. We'll have to pay 2. Noble's going to have to stick around if we want to do that. Yeah, it looks like opponent didn't draw a threat. They ended up delving their Gurmag Anglers, so they can't pick them back up with Lily. Yep, goodbye. You tried. Kind of running out of time. Like, if we end up getting a flyer in Arcades, we can get in over the Liliana, but the ultimate's going to be quite bad. Alright, well, Tetsuko. Just gotta make our creatures unblockable. Lily can't kill it, so it comes out now. We also don't have 6 mana, so we can't Arcades and Tetsuko. Yeah, I think I might have also messed up on the mana base here. We need green. We need some amount of green. Because we don't have very many green permanents, and we can't cord because of that. Alright, what did opponent draw? Nothing? That was still our turn. Well, getting close to ulting that Lily. Ooh boy. K-command? That's what draw stop usually means. Discard and... Yep, alright. You got it, opponent. Yeah, Fogbank dying to non-creatures is quite bad. Alright, they didn't go to alt Lily. Probably holding on to a Dismember. You got another fishy. Fish number 4. Yeah, Lily's not showing very good strength against the Defender squad. Alright. Telling opponent we drew lands a little bit weak, but they could always just K-command. Actually, K-command might have been a reason to hold it. Then that way, if we did draw step something important, we could just discard the land. Woo, Lily alt. So we can't Tetsuko go unblockable. We can... choice here is basically gain 6, 12, 18 life. We'll lose a perimeter captain, but have a nice, healthy, padded life total. Oh, come on. Oh, really? I don't even think I can turn off auto yields here. Alright, that was pretty fun. I could have added the Sylvan Carry added into the mix, but I think I want the mana. Alright, so Wall of Denial into Arcades. Or a Fog Bank. Oh, that's cute. Grimag Angler's a zombie. So they got 3 zombies. Next time they're going to get 6. Alright, well this deck did perform a lot better than I was expecting it to. They've got to stay back a little bit. They've got to build up their zombie team. Or not. Alright, well, I'm expecting a Battle Rage, but in the meantime, gain 6. We are at 37 versus Death Shadow, which is pretty funny. Perimeter Captain has just been super nice in this deck. And no Battle Rage. Alright, well, we gained more life than we lost there. Also opened themselves up to an attack. Probably should have waited for draw step on that one. So they ended up... Huh. Alright, so... Puts ability from Snapcaster on K command from the graveyard, target player discards and 2 damage to any target, and killed the Perimeter Captain. Alright, that makes sense. Get a redraw, Horizon Canopy confirmed best land. Oh boy, and nothing there. So I think we have one more turn, but even then Fog Bank's not going to go the distance. Likely holding Stubborn Denial. Okay. Fog Bank closer to going the distance. And our life gain engine is offline. Boo-hoo. Alright, what can Coco hit? I think I trimmed all the Wall of Omens. So, Wall of Denial, and then that means Arcades is still lethal, although we're currently looking down a Lily Emblem that is 20... basically 22. Alright, well, that's game. Lavinia. Alright. GG's opponent. That is the league. Again, I apologize. Migraine. Not the best plays. I was feeling super hasty on the mulligans. Kind of just wanted to get through the league. We did go 2-3. While aggro requires exact pieces, I feel like I've been trimming combo pieces lately to just jam bad cards, and that's not what you want to be doing. I don't think Coco's correct for this deck, but I do think we need the 4 Arcades and 4 Court of Callings, because if we don't have that, we're not getting there. Coco not hitting Arcades is actually very, very relevant. If Arcades sticks around, we win those games. Sideboard was 13 cards, super loose again. We needed some enchantment removal, having a way to dodge discard feels important, like being able to discard our Arcades on turn 1. That game 3 is actually what cost us that game. I don't know if we want 4 ley lines, but we need something there. Graveyard Recursion kind of needs to be a thing for a competitive Modern deck. This doesn't run it. But Arcades, walls, fun things. We blew stuff up. overall, about what I expected. 2-3 seems like a fine record. You can kind of go spike and F&M with it, but keep in mind this is also the expensive version of the deck. We have Horizon Canopies, Fetchlands, Shocks, Kokos. A lot of these cards don't mean a whole lot. I do think Tetsuko is really good for a toolbox card. We go up to 4 chords. We probably want to grab a couple other toolbox cards, but you need Arcades, and that's about all I can say. But thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good one.